Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is Johnboy. I am your host, John Francis Fahey. Joining me as ever is the pinnacle and perfection of perversion. Thinker, stinker, pee-pee drinker. A huggerer, a buggerer, a pee-pee chuggerer.
That's right. That is exactly right. That's how I want to hear it from now on.
Aaron Joseph Peter.
I'm sorry, let me just chug a little bit of this.
So good.
Yeah, I just had a nice bath.
Yeah.
Just, just
Oh, I gotta do it.
wash away the day.
Did you light some candles and shit?
Yeah.
That's fucking cool,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Put on some of your Barry White. You love Barry
Oh,
White.
I do.
Found
yeah.
that out.
Did you say?
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
And to my straight,
At your 12 o'clock.
uh-huh,
Yeah, 12:30.
My 9.
Matthew Brousseau.
Hi.
Handsome Matt Brousseau.
And you guys are such a great pair. You're like a regular Turner and Gooch.
Oh! Damn it.
Turner and Gooch.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised me with that one.
Yeah.
We got to say, longtime friend and fan of the show, Joshua Wiggins was out here.
Mm-hmm. I was in trouble.
Had a very good time with them.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
We,
If you guys don't know him, he's too loud.
I think he said we all were called too loud.
Yeah. But I think he just meant you and Josh.
Matt really fucking dying on his sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the live show at the Goldfish band's
There's a
playing.
live band in a fucking huge bar.
If you wanted to hear him, you just
Walk 10 feet in the
Yeah.
other direction.
And we're by the door, as far away as we
You're
can
allowed
get.
to be loud there.
And John and Josh are getting animated as they do.
Uh-huh.
And this guy comes over and he goes, he's with his brother, I don't know who, friend. He goes, "Hey, just so you guys know, you're really loud." And Josh turns to me and goes, "Dude, you look like Lionel Richie, and you look like his little cousin."
Oh my God.
Oh, my God.
And then he high-fived him and they walked away.
That's a good comeback.
Yeah.
I'm just in the corner going, what did they say?
Yeah.
What's happening?
It's so loud.
I can't.
Yeah.
Here.
It was really good to see him.
Very nice time.
Shout out to Ashley, his beautiful bride,
Wonderful news.
and their 3 wonderful children.
Aw.
Boys, we just discussed how many sexual partners we have, country by country, over
right.
there on the
Yeah.
Patreon.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think we're all really raising up the average for the American. I tell you that much.
Doing our
Yeah,
part.
I would hope.
Yeah,
I would like to think so.
Yes.
Patreon extra episode per week, folks. $5 a month. Real bargain. Real bargain.
Steel.
Yeah.
Lexington Steel.
And we talked about the AI obituaries. That was a real fun time. It's a little bit of a potpourri.
Yeah.
It's fun.
A grab bag.
Keep it fun.
And bags.
Now, last time, previously, on Profiles in Eccentricity, we talked about the Kingfish, the guys of Louisiana, Huey Long,
Huey P. Long?
Huey Pierce Long.
Uh-huh. Huey Penis.
Huey P. Long. And strong.
Now, what do you guys remember about that? Come on, let's go here. What do you remember? Anything?
Remember, grew up in poor household,
No.
religious, but he didn't become a preacher like he was supposed to. Instead, he hung out at the town hall or the main.
Yeah, he took
Main market?
a different kind of pulpit.
Yeah,
He did. He became in the last episode we saw him turn from a small town boy to a traveling salesman to a young lawyer, where he took cases on behalf of the poverty people. Poverty people?
Poverty people.
Up with the poverty people.
To the youngest ever governor of the state.
And he really turned the state around in short order.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Increased literacy rates.
that's right.
Education.
Just free health care or subsidized health care.
Pissed off a lot of people along the way.
Increased the standard of living for the people of the great state of Louisiana.
Made the oil barons and railroad barons upset with him.
He was then impeached as governor, as you may remember, and
Or what? Didn't the vote fail? Or did it go through the House and not the Senate?
yeah, I believe that was the case. They stopped they voted to impeach, and then I think the impeachment trial was stopped.
And the shot clock was turned off.
Impeachment proceedings were taken.
Yes.
And then he became senator-elect.
While not giving up his post.
Yet.
Right.
Yeah, because until he found somebody that was going to be an agreeable...
steward.
Yes, a Longite.
And he had a very famous friend who could really beat the shit out of people.
That's right.
What was his name?
Battling
Bozeman. Battling
Bozeman.
Bozeman. Now, why don't you come over here and beat the shit out of me to my climax?
That guy's wife, she's a real battle axe.
Oh. Battle axe Bozeman.
Norm joke.
During this time, America was suffering under a third year of unprecedented economic depression. Unemployment had reached 24%.
What year is this?
This would be
The Great Depression.
1932.
Okay.
13 million Americans were out of work. Drought had suffocated the entire Great Plains region, creating the Dust Bowl. Harvests were damaged by low rainfall, high temperatures, high winds, insects, and dust storms. Bad crops meant the farms went under, so the businesses closed and the banks failed. Employers, both public and private, cut their employees' hours and wages. Some industries saw wages fall as much as 30%. Tens of thousands of Americans lived out of their cars and traveled from town to town looking for work. People who were even less fortunate lived in Hoovervilles or shanty towns built out of broken down crates, cardboard, and scraps of metal. Military veterans tried to get their service bonuses early, but were denied. The disgruntled veterans assembled into the group called the Bonus Army. Up to 17,000 of them and their families, 40,000 Americans altogether, traveled to D.C. They camped out around the city and demanded their bonuses be paid out. Against President Hoover's wishes, General Douglas MacArthur led several attacks on the Bonus Army cavalrymen, used fixed bayonets and tear gas to clear the camps. While records show that 55 people were seriously injured, 2 veterans lost their lives in the conflict. Just trying to get what's always going, man.
Yeah, MacArthur.
MacArthur was a real guy, huh?
If he just saw a fight that could happen, he really wanted it to happen.
Did we talk
very badly?
Did we talk about MacArthur's morons? I think they were called morons. So there was a theory online that Forrest Gump and his friend Bubba may have been a part of MacArthur's morons. I think they were called morons. I don't want to speak out of school, but he advocated for basically allowing those with below passing IQs to be brought into the military and put into basically the meat grinder.
Yeah. Fling him into battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Forrest Gump definitely was that. But he charm the pants.
Oh my
off
God, yeah. He was real.
Drank a lot of Dr. Pepper, I'll tell you that.
Certainly did.
One can empathize.
Yeah, he even saved guys that didn't want to be saved.
Yeah. Lieutenant Dan.
God, no arms.
Elsewhere, malnutrition and poor health drove the spread of tuberculosis, sparking a massive health crisis and killing thousands. The kidnapping of the Lindbergh baby was another dark turn for the nation.
Rough time.
Louisiana was actually faring far better than many states during the Great Depression, thanks in large part to Huey's policies and programs. Wow. His administration spent more on the people in 4 years than the previous governors had in 12. But he shifted the burden of the government financing away from the people and onto industry. Gasoline tax funded the road building program. Carbon black was taxed at 0.5% per pound to finance hospitals and state universities.
Yeah, that seems good.
Overall, Louisiana increased severance taxes on natural resources extracted from the state. Previously, Louisiana got most of its revenue from the lower and middle classes paying property taxes. Huey slashed property taxes across the board, providing major relief to the masses. In the 1930s, 24 states kept records of their total government operating costs. Out of those 24 states, Louisiana ranked third lowest in government spending per citizen. Around the nation, taxes were going up by 4.7% on average, but in Louisiana, taxpayers were only paying 2.2% more.
Wow.
So while he was increasing what you got, he also was charging you less.
That's a deal.
Pretty good deal.
And this was all paid for by levying taxes on the industry
Yeah.
who was really extracting a lot of wealth from the area.
Yeah.
And extracting a lot of.
And the politicians were also just taking poor people's money. It was fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the rich people were paying nothing on poisoning the land and water.
Uh-huh.
And there were
people.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks to his changes by 1936, the average family in Louisiana was saving more than $425, which is almost 10 grand in our money.
Oh my God.
Per year in daily living expenses. Thousands of families were able to keep their homes thanks to Huey's Debt Moratorium Act. Between 1929 and 32, 4,800 banks closed in the U.S., but because of Huey's state banking policies, Louisiana only lost 7. Wow. In one of the poorest states in the country. Huey was at his most benevolent and most dictatorial when it came to LSU. Huey moved heaven and earth to attend as many home football games as possible, and he wasn't just sitting in the stands. The governor walked the sidelines with the coaches.
Oh my God.
He devised plays and delivered pregame and halftime pep talks to the players.
Dude, that's awesome.
When head coaches didn't live up to Huey's standards, he sent them packing.
Wow. Oh.
They're state employees.
That's right.
Often the highest
The
paid.
highest paid ones, yeah.
State money improved and expanded LSU's marching band. After all, the music had to match the power of the play on the field. Huey personally supervised the hiring of 2 band directors. This is my university. I can fire 1,000 of these students and get 10,000 and place them anytime I feel like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tito Puente.
In exchange for his generosity, Huey expected total obedience. Word got out that an LSU student newspaper was going to print a letter criticizing the governor, and he flipped. He put he put in
No more writing.
He put in an executive order that the school stop the presses and delete the letter. To ensure that his edict was carried out, Huey sent a squad of Louisiana state troopers
Jesus
over to the
Christ.
school. LSU suspended the paper's editor and 5 staff members. Huey explained, "I like students, but this state is putting up the money for that college, and I ain't paying nobody to criticize me."
Oh boy.
Yeah, good luck there.
You keep it up. I'm bringing the swamp thing over here. Come here with some.
Swamp Thing!
Yay! Giant green sludge monster. Yay!
At the start of 32, Huey was 38 years old, married, father of 3, chairman of the state Democratic Committee. While Huey headed off to Washington to represent Louisiana in the Senate, Lieutenant Governor Alvin O. King would serve out the remainder of his term in Baton Rouge. King would be preceded by the winner of the governor's race, Highway Commissioner Oscar K. Allen. A boyhood friend of Huey's, Allen got the nickname O.K. Allen, Oscar K. Allen, for his very agreeable nature. Everyone
Huey, you don't say.
Everyone understood that Huey would still be pulling the strings in Baton Rouge. His brother Earl once joked that a leaf blew into O.K. Allen's office and he signed it thinking it was a bill from Huey.
Sure thing, Huey.
You got it, friend.
Now, for as long as we've had a Congress, there's been a rule that freshman senators are to remain silent unless called upon to speak. On Huey's first day in Congress, he bounded onto the Senate floor, eager to make introductions. He slapped distinguished elder senators on the back and poked an old guard Republican in the ribs, all while puffing on a big cigar.
Cool.
You ticklish, old man? Yeah. Come here, you old fucker.
Take a puff of this.
You ever been to Gator Country? It was a direct violation of the Senate's no smoking policy, and hardly anyone could recall a freshman senator ever receiving more attention in their first week on the job. In the Senate, Huey saw himself as a spokesman for the downtrodden, dispossessed, and pissed off Americans. He delivered passionate and scolding speeches about how a few powerful families were hoarding the country's wealth. It's so different now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing different is now they would plant child porn in his suitcase.
Yeah.
basically.
12 millionaires held more than 120 million Americans combined. Totally different now as well. Why was this allowed in America? Because both parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, had sold out to big business at the people's expense. Again, nothing has changed. Oh my God. Huey proposed that Congress give all needy persons over 60 years old a $30 monthly pension, provide free college tuition to all deserving students, and cap the work week at 30 hours. If Congress failed to address economic inequality and abolish poverty, there would be no land of the free left. Economists dismissed Huey's ideas as impractical and a rash reaction to the Depression. Washington insiders labeled Huey a socialist.
That's what I was.
Radical.
How soon? How
Radical. Yeah, how quick do we get to the S word?
Yeah.
Radical, demagogue, and dictator. But a wide swath of Americans liked what they were hearing. Quote, "I never read a line of Marx or Henry George or any of an economist. It's all the law of God."
It's all the law of God. And I'm God. I'm here alone.
Nice to meet you.
It was often said that Huey's antics, coarse manners, and filibusters made him the most entertaining sight in Washington. According to one Washington tourist guide, the top stops were the White House, Monument, Capitol, and the Kingfish.
Just his office?
Yeah. The Senate's public viewing areas were packed with spectators, including a young Lyndon B. Johnson, who said he'd been simply entranced by Long. He became infamous for his outrageous personal style, white linen suits, straw hats, pink ties.
Yes.
Bro, yeah. Yeah.
I'm just a simple Southern gentleman.
What's going on in here? We're going to pass a law today or what?
None of you dressed up.
None of you got the memo.
We got a couple of jackanapes in here.
Some lick spittles.
He even attended black tie affairs dressed in pajamas.
Oh.
Wow.
I'm sleepy.
Sweepy game.
All these people putting me to sleep.
Now,
I better wear my pajamas.
Laura Crawford, our esteemed researcher here that did the good work on this episode, she posits here, was this the inspiration for Hugh Hefner?
With the pajamas.
To be strolling around at black tie affairs in pajamas. I mean, it is a look.
It is a look.
It's a way to cuck everybody.
Yeah.
I don't even care, man. We're having a black tie affair at my house. I'll be in my PJs. Everybody here can suck my dick.
Well, a lot of them
Hugh Hefner did feel that.
That's probably why he wore the pajamas.
This is can we do our first clip?
Sure, John. Which one?
It's the top one. They are in sequential order.
Oh, that's good. That's one of my favorite orders.
The tippy top.
Hey.
Okay, hold on. Pull that back. The man in bed.
When the German cruiser Emden visits New Orleans, its commander calls formally on Louisiana's governor.
Smoking. Huey's in his pajamas in bed.
Uh-oh.
Oh, better all come in here.
Huey Long's informal reception brings a demand for an official apology. Next day, in dress clothes borrowed piece by piece from friends, he returns the call and receives the governor's salute.
So he was receiving a German vessel there, the Emden, in his green and white pajamas, and he was berated by the U.S. consul, and then he got a salute from the crew by showing up dressed properly, apparently with things pieced together piece by piece from friends.
You've got a dinner jacket I can borrow.
Yeah. He's like, you got any wild flamingo-colored shit?
Oh, I've got my white linen snoot and my silk PJs.
Every national media outlet with a conservative bent was skewering Long on the daily, just like papers in Louisiana had done years before. The Washington Post called for his resignation in May of 1932. Through radio spots, live appearances, and his own national newspaper, The American Progress.
Yes.
Huey applied his case directly to the American people. They responded in kind. All the while, Huey was making frequent trips to Baton Rouge to push his favored bills through the legislature, including abolishing the poll tax and establishing a homestead tax exemption for personal property.
Wow. Poll taxes. Great.
Yeah. Wonder what that's for.
Now, in 1932, Hoover was running for a second term against the Democratic challenger, FDR.
What?
Oh.
That's Franklin Delano Roosevelt, folks. Unlike our country boy Huey, FDR had been poised for political success from birth. His parents were from the old New York society, and his fifth cousin was President Theodore Roosevelt. Franklin attended the best private schools in New England.
Best.
And he earned degrees from Harvard and Columbia Law School. While still in his late 20s, FDR served in the New York State Legislature, but as a Democrat, President Wilson appointed him as Assistant Secretary of the Navy, a role he filled for 6 years. He received his party's nomination for vice president in 1920, but the Democratic ticket was no match for Ohio's Republican Senator Warren G. Harding. Tragically, FDR caught the polio virus in 1921 when he was 39 years old. He fought to regain control of his legs and bravely presented Alfred E. Smith as the nominee at the 1924 Democratic Convention. In 1928, both Huey and FDR became Democratic governors of their respective states. Though FDR met expectations as governor, he had a far greater goal in mind, the presidency. One Washington insider said of FDR, he is a pleasant man who, without any important qualifications for the office, would very much like to be president. FDR drafted blue blood professors, journalists, and policy experts into his campaign team. He also made efforts to build working relationships with the Kingfish. FDR could use the media attention. Reporters and photographers swarmed around Huey, documenting his every move. But more importantly, Huey would control Louisiana's votes at the next Democratic National Convention. He'd also have a major say in Mississippi's ballots.
In Mississippi's ballots.
Yeah. I think just proxy,
Okay.
know?
sure.
We neighbors.
Yeah.
Kissing cousins.
Roosevelt.
AKA cousin.
Like you and your wife there. You understand? Roosevelt once invited Huey to dine with the Roosevelt family at their estate in Hyde Park. Sure enough, the meal played out like a B-movie comedy of manners. Laura says here, think Rodney Dangerfield partying with the upper crust.
Yeah, like the Simpsons episode.
There's so many forks. I like to eat the crawfish with my hand. These are the biggest crawfish I've ever seen. It's a lobster, sir. Okay.
Call it what you want. Huey wore a typical loud suit, clashing shirt, and pink tie. Rather than making polite conversation, he lectured FDR on campaign issues like a school teacher. FDR retained his composure, but his mother remarked in a loud whisper, "Who is that awful man?"
I'll say.
While most guests pretended not to hear, Huey surely noted her comment.
Would you say Huey was too loud?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was straight up me and Josh Wiggin talking about appetizers. Mozzarella sticks! Huey surely noted her comment, but he'd later say of his time with the Roosevelts, he's got more son of bitches in his family than I do!
He's got more sons of bitches? What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Seeing as no other candidate was even considering wealth redistribution, it would have to be Roosevelt for Huey Long. Once Huey said he was in, he went in all the way. That July, he delivered a tremendous speech in support of FDR's nomination at the Democratic Party convention in Chicago. Breaking with tradition, Roosevelt also spoke at the convention, accepting the nomination in person and pledging, quote, a new deal for the American people.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
The Bronx County boss, Edward J. Flynn, would later say, there is no question in my mind, but that without Long's work, Roosevelt might not have been nominated.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like a good guy to hit your wagon, too.
Yeah, and you see that your policies or your favorite policies have worked on a smaller level.
Right, yeah, sure.
Yes. Huey's convention speech proved to be the high point of his relationship with FDR. From there, things went from chilly to combative. Not long after the convention, Huey was overheard shouting on a phone call, "God damn it, Frank, don't you know who nominated you? Why do you have all those Wall Street blankety blanks up there to see you? How do you think it looks to the country? How can I explain it to my people?"
Dude, blankety blank. It's getting hot in here.
Yeah.
I've been unbuttoning my collar, my cravat. It's getting hot.
And you can see probably, for the political muscle he leaned into pushing him for the nomination.
Mm-hmm.
The way he saw it, he should have a key role in shaping the policies of FDR's campaign or future administration. He wanted an entire campaign train for himself. He wanted a train.
A train.
Yeah. He'd push Roosevelt, but also toss in his own ideas, some of which had no place in the Roosevelt political agenda. FDR's campaign manager, Jim Farley, shut that idea down and sent Huey off on a Great Plains speaking tour.
Yeah, smart move. But he's got a train now, you know?
Planes kind of like train.
Yeah. I misheard you. Farley figured at that distance Huey could do little harm or actually a lot of good.
Ah.
Taking time out of his packed schedule, Huey crisscrossed the Midwest, championing Roosevelt with everything he had. But direct communications between the nominee and the senator were becoming increasingly rare.
That is smart, though.
What?
Especially, get them all excited out there.
Rile them up.
Yeah.
Later, Huey would say about FDR, the only difference between Hoover and Roosevelt is that Hoover is a hoot owl and Roosevelt is a scrooch owl. A hoot owl bangs onto the roost and knocks the hen clean off and catches her while she's falling. But a scrooch owl slips in the roost and talks softly to her, and she just falls in love with them, and the first thing you do, there ain't no hen.
That's some great analogy.
Yeah.
That's a man who knows how.
That's Bayou analogy.
It's also, a full lesson on owls.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Hoot,
Who knew?
scrooch.
Ooch.
Who knew?
Yeah, and hens really susceptible.
Yeah.
Then you got that Tootsie Pop Owl.
Yeah.
You come in and lick it 3 times, and all of a sudden, you ain't got no Tootsie Pop.
Yeah. You get that wise out, we take all your chips.
If you have a big rooster.
On November 8th, 1932, FDR defeated President Hoover in a landslide victory. FDR was the first Democrat in 80 years to win a majority of the Electoral College and win the popular vote. A Democrat hadn't occupied the White House since 1916. Back in Congress, Huey was delivering more theatrical speeches and garnering more attention from the press. To obstruct certain bills, Huey would launch into hour-long filibusters and have the clerk read unnecessary documents. One editorialist wrote that Huey made the Senate, quote, impotent. Huey's fellow senators did not take these actions lying down. They blocked every single one of Huey's proposed bills, resolutions, and motions.
Yeah, I mean, one of the tough things is when you come in with all that fire,
They can fire back.
there's more of them than you.
Yeah.
And you're an easy target.
Yeah.
They know where to pour the water.
Yeah, either you compromise, sadly, or nothing happens.
Huey got no sympathy from the president. Quote, when I talk to him, he says, fine, fine, fine. But Senator Joe Robinson goes to see him the next day and again, and he says, fine, fine, fine. Maybe he says fine to everybody.
Yo, so-and-so.
You blank.
Throughout his political career, Huey slept very little and often made work calls at 3 or 4 in the morning.
And yet he's always in pajamas.
He didn't, well, maybe that's why. He didn't seem to need his family too much. Rose and the children could rarely capture a moment alone with him. A meeting with his brother Earl or Julius would usually break down into an argument, if not a physical fight.
Oh, God.
That sounds exhausting.
So crazy. So fucking nuts.
You're like, okay, you're just counting down.
LSU ran a play action? Oh, shit. Why? I'm beside myself.
We don't throw in football.
Call up the National Guard.
Yeah.
Storm them.
Yeah. Student paper say something about me, I'll kill him. Huey started drinking when he was a teenage traveling salesman. For the rest of his life, he alternated between periods of sobriety where he was trim and periods of drinking where he looked bloated. He had a real fear of being attacked, which translated into a hatred for being touched. Though he had a real nasty habit of eating off of other people's plates when drunk.
So he got in a lot of fights.
I mean,
you got one of them Yankee crawdads. I'm going to give me some of that. You going to get some.
I'm more of a screech crawdad.
Back in 32, attorney John H. Overton ran for a Senate seat against the two-term incumbent Edwin Broussard. Overton was a staunch long loyalist and had served as the governor's counsel during his impeachment trial. Overton beat Broussard in all 64 parishes, even the incumbent's home parish. Broussard accused Overton and Long of voter intimidation and election fraud. Roosevelt offered support when a group of senators proposed an official inquiry into Overton's election. At the start of 33, a Senate investigating committee held months of hearings about Overton's alleged misdeeds. Ultimately, the senators couldn't produce enough substantive evidence to back up the claims. Overton was seated without opposition on March 4th and served until 1948.
Wow.
On March 4th of 1933, FDR was inaugurated as the 32nd president. He promised to get Americans working, to protect their savings, and to help them generate new revenue. He offered relief for the sick and the elderly. Agriculture and industry would get the support they needed to get back on their feet. Roosevelt was fighting the Great Depression through proclamations, executive orders, and a steady stream of legislation in his first 100 days.
Sounds like somebody we know.
Democrats controlled both houses and helped to get 77 of the president's bills signed into law. His first New Deal included the Emergency Banking Act, the Federal Emergency Relief Administration, and the Securities Act of 33, and the National Recovery Administration. The EBA would be stabilizing the banking system. The FERA would give $500 million in relief for the states and cities, and the Securities Act would regulate the securities, i.e. stocks and bonds, and prevent fraud. And then the National Recovery Administration was designed to restore employment and revitalize industry. It called on every business in the country to adopt a new blanket code, a minimum wage at least 20 cents per hour, and a maximum work week of 35 to 45 hours, and a ban on child labor. General Hugh S. Johnson, who had been in charge of the economy during World War I, got the role of the first director. Time magazine named him Man of the Year in 1933.
Wow.
That's the tough thing about when the kids aren't working, and the way you can pay kids nothing.
Yeah, they'll work for peanuts.
Yeah.
Even they drive down wages.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Give me some of that Bazooka Joe, Daddy.
Yeah.
Kids are like the original illegals.
Seeing as Roosevelt didn't enact any programs to redistribute the nation's wealth, Huey became one of his most outspoken critics.
Oh, God.
One of the few on the left. The New Deal's moderate changes were useless in the face of the Great Depression. Huey still supported some Roosevelt programs in the Senate. Whenever this administration has gone to the left, I voted with it. Whenever it's gone to the right, I voted against it. He also objected to several folks Roosevelt wanted appointed to his cabinet. He said that the Banking Act only helped big national banks. He found the National Recovery Act too favorable to industrialists. He led a 3-week Senate filibuster against the glass banking bill when the bill's authors included provisions to extend government deposit insurance to state banks as well as national banks. Huey changed his mind and supported it. That bill would later be passed as the Glass-Steagall Act.
And that would later get repealed.
Yeah.
And then shit would hit various fans.
Yes.
But they were nice fans.
Yeah, nice shit.
Yeah.
Around the end of the first 100 days in office of Roosevelt, he held a meeting with Huey in the White House. An observer described Huey as being in a cocky, almost insolent mood. He didn't remove his straw sailor hat. He showed up like Matt to a party.
Look, I don't have a sailor hat, all right? I got some nice hats.
You got nice hats.
Except when he wanted to make a point, he would take his hat and use it to tap FDR on the elbow, on the knee, or on the knee.
Now here it is.
Reportedly, FDR never blinked or led on to the fact that Huey got under his skin.
Probably because he was basically paralyzed.
We didn't tap in the legs.
He couldn't feel anything.
No, he did the knee and the elbow.
Oh, okay. But I imagine Roosevelt's going like, all right, guys, so we've prepared like 2 weeks. He's going to storm in here. It's going to be crazy. Let's just get through it.
Privately, Roosevelt told his advisors that Huey was, along with General Douglas MacArthur, one of the 2 most dangerous men in America.
Whoa.
That June, Roosevelt cut Huey out of consultations on how federal funds and patronage would be distributed in Louisiana. He also picked Huey's enemies to be in charge of federal programs in Louisiana.
Ooh.
Huey laid out his national economic vision in his first book, an autobiography titled Every Man a King, 1933.
But me, a fish king.
According to multiple sources, on August 28th, Senator Long was partying at the ritzy Sands Point Country Club on Long Island, extremely drunk and needing to urinate. He went to the men's room, but all the urinals and stalls were in use. He stood behind a man at a urinal, undid his pants, and started pissing on the man's leg.
Oh, no.
Did he tell him if it was raining?
A quote-unquote hero onlooker punched Long in the eye, resulting in a big shiner. The story made the front page of the New York Times.
Of course it did.
It should.
Yeah.
Over time, the story changed in kind of a street joke. One Reddit poster said their dad liked to tell this story, a Huey Long story. Quote, Huey, a perpetual enemy of Standard Oil, got drunk one night. I think it was at a hotel here in New Orleans. So he goes to the bathroom, but Sorry's already in the urinal. He whips it out and starts pissing between the guy's legs. The guy turns around and punches Huey in the face. So Huey runs out of the bathroom screaming he's been assaulted by an agent for Standard Oil.
I mean, if you can pee between someone's legs at a urinal, that's,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I mean, I could pee between somebody's legs if they're sitting down on a toilet. I could do that. I could thread that needle.
People would pay you for
Maybe
that.
if it's some big old tall guy.
Yeah, you got to pee, but like behind,
Well, back then, maybe they had the urinals that started the floor, so.
Oh, with the ice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the ones with the ice.
Yeah.
Hey, Standard Oil, drink this milkshake.
Huey said once, they got a set of Republican waiters on one side and a set of Democratic waiters on the other side. But no matter which of them waiters brings you the dish, the legislative grub is all prepared in the same Wall Street kitchen.
Oh, that's nice.
Wow. Pretty
Fucking
good.
nice.
He knows how to make a metaphor, this guy.
In 1934, James A. Noe, N-O-E, a Louisiana state senator and oil man, joined Huey in forming the Win or Lose Oil Company. The directors would use the firm to obtain leases on state-owned lands. They'd collect bonuses and sublease the mineral rights to major oil companies. The courts ruled that these kinds of companies were legal, but they were still highly controversial. Huey and Noe operated the company in secret, never publicly naming their stockholders.
No way.
Wow.
Huey used his profits from Win or Lose to fund his political ambitions.
I like how all of his friends are named okay or no, or
Yeah.
it's just short
Fine.
answer is fine.
Huey had successfully reshaped the Louisiana government to his liking. Local government was essentially abolished. Long's people had the final say in every job appointment from the police to the fire department to the public schools. The courts, the state militia, the election boards, and the tax assessment officers were all under Long's absolute control. If a citizen had a complaint against a Long appointee or got unfairly passed over for a job, well, that was too damn bad. One very important note, correction on the Huey Long deduct box. All of those state employees that Huey had gotten jobs, they didn't just have to pay a one-time fee for getting the position. They were required to transfer 5 to 10% of every paycheck they received to the deduct box fund.
Yeah.
By 1934, he was pulling in $1 million every year from civil servants.
And only, as far as we know, only using that to fund his campaign.
Yeah.
So he's reduced taxes on the people, but he's raised the tithing on the people.
Well, they've also these are also the people with the good jobs.
Yeah.
Sure. I understand that.
It is corrupt.
Yeah.
It is corrupt, but we do say, like we said in the last episode, it's like, is it in the pursuit of more good things for everybody?
Yes.
Because this guy is to the left of FDR.
Yeah.
But you could also pursue more good things for everybody without the tithing.
Also, this is
He made a choice.
The $1 million coming in to fuel the political ambitions. This is at a time when almost half of all American families were officially in poverty, earning less than $1,250 per year, which is about $28,000 today.
Like 1,250.
Correct. February 1st, Huey comes up with the Share Our Wealth Society. His vision for a system that captures the excess fortunes of the rich and distributes that wealth amongst the very poor. On February 23rd, 1934, he unveils the Share Our Wealth Society in the Senate. He predicts that this plan will bring an end to the Great Depression and lift every American up to a decent living standard. He made his case clear to the listening public in 2 famous speeches, Every Man a King and, quote, Share Our Wealth. This is an excerpt from Every Man a King. How many of you remember the first thing the Declaration of Independence said? It said, we hold these truths to be self-evident. There are certain inalienable rights for the people, and among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it said further, we hold the view that all men are created equal. Now, what do they mean by that? That they mean, my friends, to say that all men are created equal, and that meant any man was born to inherit $10 billion, and that another man was born to inherit nothing? Is that the right of life, my friends, when the young children in this country are being reared into a sphere that is more owned by 12 men than 120,000 people? I do not think you will contend that, and I do not think for a moment that they will contend it. I'll rest my case. Now, we have organized society. We call it the Share Our Wealth Society. A society with the motto, every man a king. Every man a king. So there's no such thing as a man or woman who do not have the necessities of life, who would not be dependent upon the whims and caprices of Ipsy Dixit and the financial barons for a living. Every man a king. Every man to eat when there's something to eat, all to wear something when there's something to wear. That makes all of us a sovereign.
Nice. Dignity, man.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of dignity can go a long way.
Our present plan is that we will allow no man to own more than $50 million. It may be necessary in working out the plans that no man's fortune will be more than 10 or 15 million. Be that as it may, it will still be more than any one man or any one man and his children and their children will be able to spend in their lifetimes. It is not necessary or reasonable to have that wealth piled up beyond the point where we cannot prevent poverty among the masses. Now, we can hit the second clip there if you're interested in that. That's part of his big speech, the Every Man a King speech.
The millionaires and the billionaires.
I mean, dude, it is the same shit.
Yeah. It's worse now.
Far worse.
So, John, what are we going to see here?
I believe we'll be hearing episodes from what I just did, probably a lot more sane.
Well, yeah.
The world's richest and supposedly soundest economy perished, and small business was strangled by the Great Depression. The unemployed numbered 15 million. There were bread lines, soup kitchens, and street corner apple sellers. The rhythm of ragtime had become a funeral dirge. The corpse of prosperity was abroad in the land. In 1932, America sought new leadership as the panacea for all its troubles. Franklin Roosevelt promised a new deal for the American people, but depression and tragedy would divert all else for another 8 years. The 30s witnessed the crime of the century, the kidnapping of the Lindbergh baby, for which the ruthless Bruno Hauptmann went to the electric chair. Congress armed the FBI with the Lindbergh Law and the Bank Act. The days of the public enemy were numbered.
They're showing stuff about Babyface Nelson in there and stuff.
Huey long found a solution to the national problem. Every man a king, said the Kingfish. For every man a guaranteed annual income of $5,000. He called it Share the Wealth. It was a good idea, but unfortunately there wasn't any wealth to share. The world's richest...
Yes, there was.
Yeah, there absolutely was.
You can name the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We know where it's at.
yeah, their kids got it later.
Yeah.
They, you know.
They named the libraries and the buildings after them.
I think it's probably a good point to take a little break. Let's come back in a few minutes, and how are we gonna figure out this whole this?
How are we going to figure out the wealth disparity?
How are we going to figure out the Huey?
How are we gonna get back to the green? The green. We'll be right back, folks. And we're back.
Hey, that's nice.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, being back is cool.
So Huey was proposing. No, Matt, you're not gonna like this because
Proposing? I've been married.
he was proposing that Congress enact a new progressive tax code and collect revenue from all Americans with more than $50 million.
Okay, go on. Which part do I like?
That one.
What?
Well, you don't like that he doesn't use democratic methods or whatever.
Yeah, you don't like that. One man has the balls,
Yeah.
the wherewithal,
Yeah.
the gall to just take what is rightfully ours
Yeah.
Huh?
You must.
and distribute it. You want him to go through some weird bureaucracy.
I want him
Yeah.
to goon it out.
What do you want?
Oh.
Washington to go to the king, hat in hand?
Yeah.
This is a kingfish, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. What
And
do
he's
you,
not taking your worm.
can't. What flipper in hand? I mean, how do you?
No.
What are you wearing?
It called for the wealth cap to be anywhere between $5 and $8 million. The government would then distribute those millions amongst the people through state benefits and public works projects. He called for the government to provide free health care, free vocational training, free higher education, a pension for the elderly, and greater veterans benefits. Workers would be guaranteed a 30-hour work week and a month of vacation. A month.
Wow.
Most radically, he demanded a 5,000-year stipend for every family that earned less than 1/3 of the national average income.
Oh, a
That's
$5,000
per
a year stipend.
Yeah.
Yeah, yearly
Got-
stipend. Sorry.
A 5,000 year stipend.
We will never.
for you, your grandchildren,
Yeah.
your great.
Yeah.
Your descendants
Year-
who no longer resemble human beings
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
all get
Yeah.
this stipend.
Yearly stipend. I'm sorry.
So I think a place like I don't know, maybe any country in the world, but America especially, the states, he must have known that, especially like most of those seem like they could pass, but when you say there's a limit on the amount of money you can have,
Yeah, it's a non-starter in this.
and if
And
that's
it's a non-starter pretty much everywhere.
yeah, but the other things, like maybe if he didn't
Don't lead with that.
don't lead with there's a max wealth.
But I disagree because like it is like the land of opportunity, and then like.
Well, it isn't if you limit the opportunity to have untold billions. That's not
But
good.
I know, but he's saying like, what are you gonna do? Give it to your kid that doesn't exist yet? Like, I mean, like, and also like, of course you want to give something to your kid that doesn't exist yet, but like, a fucking empire, like it's like, come on, you know what I mean? Figure it out, you know?
What? I mean, no. I mean, it's not a reasonable. You're not going to get people on your side.
By saying there's a limit to how much you
Not during the Depression, Daddy. This is 1934.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
There is a lot of down and out people.
Sure.
And they're only fighting against 12. There's only 12 of those guys.
yeah.
But it is, as far as the mythology of America goes, it's a non-starter to say that. And as we see now, the power, those 12 guys who are
Yeah.
now 18 guys, and
Yeah,
a couple of women,
maybe 20
Good
guys.
good guys, good girls, good whatevers.
Yeah.
They have enough juice to
Yeah.
pull the strings
Yeah.
to make sure that you don't advance or those ideas don't advance.
Mm.
Yeah, the populism he's using as the guy with an iron fist in Louisiana, he can do those things. But unless you become a dictator of America, you that's not going to pass. You could get rid of that, and maybe some of the other things that he's proposing will
Yeah,
pass.
but here's the thing: is that like in countries like Norway or whatever, there's still rich people there that just pay like their fair amount of tax and are totally fine with it and totally don't have to slum it with poor people if that's what you're afraid of.
Well, yeah, but they also don't have a maximum money limit in Norway.
No, but the taxes would be percentage-wise.
Yeah, there's a progressive tax. Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think in 1950, I think the top tax rate was 90%.
Yeah, in the United States. So it's already
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It
also
just sounds
but-
bad to say there's a limit,
Yeah.
even though most people will never, ever get to it.
Exactly.
no,
right.
and also, but not at that time, man.
Right.
Like at this time, like we said at the start of the story, nothing was guaranteed.
Right.
Your church had to help you out.
Uh-huh.
So this guy is finally going like, he's like, all right, you had it fucking bad forever, and now it's even worse. And then you can point out like Standard Oil, the Rockefellers, the JP Morgans, whatever, and you go like, we're gonna stop anybody getting because you're talking about sheer
That's money that you
economy.
could have. That's money
Sure.
that you could
Oh,
have.
no, I get it. I get the
Nah,
idea.
man, you don't understand.
It's just that it's not
You're one
going
of those
to work.
right-wing anarcho-capitalists.
Yep. Haven't jacked off in years.
Yeah.
You're hoarding all the cum. Why don't you redistribute some of that cum?
Oh,
But
you wish.
let's talk about this thing too. Like, so families with below a third of the national average income are going to get just
Stipend.
$5,000 a yearly stipend.
Yeah, that's good.
And so $5,000 a year, a family could afford the basics like a home, a car, and a radio. So like a radio is
So
even.
you can hear his propaganda.
That's right.
The state would play a greater role in regulating the economy. Later on, Huey proposed a moratorium on debts for struggling families so they wouldn't lose their homes to creditors. Like that.
Because things just get worse
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
Then they really don't contribute to the economy, and also they die.
Well, like that guy losing the farm that the creditor bid on
Yeah.
the I mean,
No, it's expensive to be poor.
Yes, it's incredibly expensive to be poor.
yeah. And then, you just owe more and more. He firmly believed that economic insecurity left unchecked would lead to civil unrest and the destruction of democracy. A reporter asked whether his plan was communist, and Long replied, "Communism? Hell no. This plan is the only defense this country's got against communism."
Yes.
It's true.
He also called his program the only stopgap to communism.
Yeah.
Because populism is going to go like a certain way.
One way or
when there's that much shit going, and it's like they can. Do you want them to go full Bolshevik? Because they can go
They're
there.
on the verge.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing, that's what FDR was telling what they call it, the businessman plot. The guys that basically were conspiring
right.
to basically assassinate
Yeah.
FDR. He was, and they were threatened by the New Deal.
Yeah.
And they wanted to end him, and they thought he was attacking capitalism, but he's like, no, I'm fucking saving it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have run it into the ground. You've extracted all the wealth, and if I don't do these stopgap maneuvers,
Yeah.
then there will be a revolution.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what
These people are eating dust. Read
Yeah.
Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah.
it's short-term thinking.
It's
And but that is like the corporate structure, though. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
like,
Shorter.
It's very evident today. You can see it. Just to hoover up as much money as you can, shut the
Fuck
company
it.
down, buy a company, take all the money
sell it
out
to
of it.
Bain Capital.
Yeah.
in 1934, FDR had the IRS investigate Huey in an attempt to discredit him in the eyes of his supporters.
Fuck.
Wow.
The IRS failed to link Huey to any illegal activity, but a few of his lieutenants were charged with tax evasion. Roosevelt's son, Elliot, claimed this was the first incident of a president using the IRS as a weapon of political retribution.
Wow. So we have that asshole to thank.
Wow. Yeah.
I used to think he was a good guy.
Now, aren't one of the FDRs implicated in the overthrow of the Shah of Iran too, or is it a whole?
One of the
nother story?
FDRs. There was only one FDR. chief.
kids. One of the FDR kids. Whatever is Elliot.
On May 30th, the Senate was debating abolishing the Platt Amendment. In short, the Platt Amendment defined the terms of America's relationship with Cuba. The U.S. would always be dominant over Cuba. Instead of debating the amendment, Huey declared his support for Paraguay in the Chaco War. From 1932 to 35, Paraguay and Bolivia fought over control of the Gran Chaco region, which had oil reserves. Paraguay and Bolivia were two of South America's poorest countries. Huey argued that President Rutherford B. Hayes had awarded the Chaco region to Paraguay in 1878. He accused Standard Oil of having orchestrated the war through their control of the Bolivian government. It was just another example of Wall Street directing foreign policy in Latin America, 100% true. Huey received so much praise in Paraguay that when soldiers captured a Bolivian fort in July 1934, they renamed it Fort Long.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Long's international popularity.
Got a lot of fucking points, man.
Yeah.
It's not what Paraguayans.
Yeah, no, but they were emulating his voice.
Yes, right.
Long's international popularity made the State Department extremely wary. He could be damaging the United States' reputation abroad. They took offensive action, waging an anti-Huey Long publicity campaign around Latin America that summer.
Jesus Christ, have anything better to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta fight. We gotta take on the Kingfish.
The money.
There's something going on in Germany.
Yeah.
You want to take a look?
But that money, they could, if they wanted to
The
bolster.
Paraguayans weren't
There's no
buying
money in
fucking
it.
Ford
Yeah.
cars, and
Yeah.
they weren't buying IBM machines. Like, that's what it is. They weren't worried about his international influence. They were worried about his international influence in certain countries.
Yeah, and also, how much money did they spend that could have just, if you wanted to raise your reputation, I don't know, use it to bring up the
Buy votes.
help poor
Buy
people.
votes. Give poor people money. Buy
Yeah.
votes.
Yeah.
That would have raised their reputation.
Yeah.
A lot easier.
Huey became one of the Senate's most outspoken isolationists. He added that it was wrong for America to have entered the Spanish-American War and the Great War, World War I. Wall Street bankers had dragged the country into both conflicts. America needed to get out of the Philippines and stay out of the world court.
FDR goes, hold my cane.
Hold my wheelchair.
You're going to love the sequel.
The Ku Klux Klan
Oh.
had put a target on Huey's back way
Oh,
back.
my God.
in-
He's getting it from every side.
Yeah.
way back in his days in the governor's mansion. The fact that his programs benefited African Americans as well as whites outraged their racist
Yeah.
Oh.
sensibility.
Outrage that they're getting some too.
I would rather
You're getting some.
I would rather be poor.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And you still see it today.
You still see it today, yeah.
You still see the
Incredible.
same thing today. As I will cut off my own nose to spite my face.
Yeah.
Huey didn't engage in race baiting like many other Southern politicians, but he also accepted racial segregation as the de facto state of affairs. When federal anti-lynching legislation came up in the Senate, he refused to offer his support. While it may have been due to his hatred for federal control over state issues, Huey did say the legislation, quote, can't do the dead Negro no good. But he did concede that it was the government's duty to stop lynching.
Okay, so he did admit that.
Well,
Yes,
he
that's good.
wasn't resting on like an excuse of like, oh, that's just the way we do things down here.
Right, yeah.
But he did recognize that it was wrong and the government's job to abolish it. So maybe that his statement of that it was federal government overreach is not total bullshit.
Yes.
Well, that's, I guess, a relief to hear.
When writing memos or circulars, Huey would habitually use the N-word, but his printers would change it to Negro before publication. He also routinely referred to Italians as Dagos. He was also a sexist. In 1932,
I mean, that's the least surprising one.
In 1932, a case was raised against seating Long's delegates at the Democratic National Convention. Huey refused to enter the case to arbitration decided by a subcommittee because it included women members. No bunch of damn skirts is going to decide anything affecting me.
Oh my God, says the guy wearing pajamas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a frilly cravat on. He's
The-
wearing his
the,
seersucker linen.
He's stuck in his ways.
Yeah. Oh, he's just a man of his times. No one believed in equality back then.
God, it's crazy.
The Ku Klux Klan legislative body in Atlanta,
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
the Ku Klux Klan's legislative body,
Okay.
the Imperial Convocation, they call it.
Oh God, were they for real with that?
A bunch of really smart.
Good guys.
They denounced Huey for having un-American attitude towards authority, which is
It was authority.
the guy who's
yeah.
It was authority.
the racist anti-woman guy.
When the Klan's leader, Hiram Evans, vowed to campaign against him, Huey gave this response from the Senate press gallery. Quote me as saying that the imperial bastard will never step foot in Louisiana. If he did come around a long country, he risked leaving the state with his toes turned up.
Oh, dude, that's nice.
Oh, yeah.
You can leave the state with your toes turned up. That's like that's
You like that, right?
rap beef.
Yeah. Very.
The only thing turned up around here is gonna be them toes, motherfucker. Come around here wearing pointy ass hats.
Meanwhile, Huey's enemies in New Orleans had quietly formed a paramilitary group called the Square Deal Association.
Ugh.
Square dealers modeled themselves after white supremacists who led an uprising against Louisiana's Reconstruction government in 1874. They believed armed revolution was the only way to take down Dictator Long. Membership included 2 former governors, John M. Parker and Ruffin Pleasant.
I'm sorry?
Ruffin Pleasant.
That's how I like it. I like it rough and pleasant.
Yeah.
Can't have one without the other.
I'll give it to you rough, and then I'll give it to you pleasant.
For me, I find it to be one and the same.
Yeah. It's kind of a Cenobite thing. Pleasure, pain, all
You
that.
get it?
Yeah.
It's a Cenobite thing.
It's rough, it's pleasant. Rough, pleasant. I don't know.
I got
What'd
a
you say?
decal on the back of my Ford truck. It's got a little Cenobite peeing on anything that says happiness. We should get those decals.
That's
Somebody
pretty
could
good.
make a
That's
decal
pretty good.
of a Cenobite.
Cenobite
peeing-
Calvin?
Yeah, Cenobite Calvin peeing on.
Happiness? A rainbow? No, it can't be a rainbow.
It just- it
he's
says-
he's got to pee on
Just the word happiness.
status quo.
The word happiness.
yeah,
Just-
happiness.
Just pleasure, pain.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just be, you might think the pee is bad, but I think it's good.
Yeah.
It's a term of endearment.
I call it painja.
Panger.
Painja.
Oh, okay.
I call it plain. It doesn't really roll off the tongue. You wouldn't get it. It's a Cenobite thing.
Oh, it is a Chili Pepper song. I like pleasure. I like.
So rough and pleasant. The mayor of New Orleans was involved in this. Sems Walmsley.
T. Sims Longsley?
Oh,
T.
wait,
Sems
the
Walmsley.
T. Sems.
Yeah. Huey and the mayor had a long-standing feud. Huey Long's newspapers and circulars often showed Walmsley as a cartoon turkey buzzard.
With Calvin peeing on him. Ooh.
FDR and Congress continued to pass legislation to jumpstart the economy. The Federal House Administration would provide federal mortgage insurance, and the Securities and Exchange Commission would regulate the stock market. Record high temperatures and low rainfall led to the drought, covering up to 3/4 of the whole country by the end of the year.
Fuck, what a nightmare time. Like,
The unemployment rate had dipped slightly to 21%, and the economy had increased 10.8%, but those numbers weren't good enough for Huey. It was clear to the Kingfish that the New Deal hadn't made enough sweeping changes. If he wanted to save Americans from poverty, Huey knew he had to run for president in 1936.
One man a king.
Postmaster General and Chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Jim Farley, was very concerned about the possibility of Huey leading a third-party challenge to FDR. If Huey split the Democratic vote, the Republicans could take the White House and undo all of their progress with the New Deal. Farley sat in on a meeting between FDR and Huey in 1934. He noticed that Huey kept his hat on throughout the conference, which he assumed to be an expression of contempt. It was clear by that time neither man had much use for the other. Quote, "No man has ever been president of the United States more than 2 terms. But you know that. Everyone know that. But when I get in, I'm abolish the Electoral College, have universal suffrage, and I defy any son of a bitch to get me out in under 4 terms."
Oh my God.
I mean,
Come and get some!
come and get some. Bring your A game, FDR.
That's what I was saying.
Thursday night at the ballot box. I'm coming for you. They say the cream rises, but the Kingfish swims amongst the cream.
They say the swamp thing will rise through the green.
They're bringing the green to everyone. And by that, I mean dollars.
Yeah.
Everybody man a king, and every swamp a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, hi,
Every toilet snake.
They would.
A goose in every pot, and a snake in every turlet.
Oh, they won't get there yet, but yeah.
Yeah, you gotta tune into the
You
Patreon
got
for
to
that
tune
one.
in the Patreon for that.
But you gotta
Great
get the page.
inside joke. That, I mean, also, what was his name? Farley? Farley, that's a reasonable fear
Sure. Yeah.
that the vote will get split.
Oh, totally. Yeah. But I mean, it's going like, do you want, a Mexican Coke or do you want Diet Coke? You know what I mean?
Man, they're both so good.
Yeah. But,
And,
it's
and
that
you got
thing
fucking
too.
Pepsi fucking
Yeah.
coming up
Yeah, well,
behind, like,
yeah.
hey, you guys are worried about Cokes. I got the toys of a new generation. over here."
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And nobody wants that.
Nope. But if you're not careful,
Can we all agree that Diet Coke and Mexican Coke are both good and better than Pepsi?
yeah.
That's
but,
what you got to do there.
They're both better than Coke.
but the problem is if you got people voting on then Pepsi wins. 'Cause-
Abolish electoral college, universal suffrage, and I'm gonna be the president for 4 terms.
Yeah.
Or is that what he said? 4?
He said, I defy any son of a bitch to get me out under 4 term.
And FDR was like, I like one of those ideas.
Yeah. I mean, for real.
he's going. I know you're going to do a 3rd term, but he's not even angry about him doing a 3rd term. He's going, here's what I would do.
Well, no, I mean, didn't he just get in 32? So this is like he's only going for his 2nd term,
He's going-
FDR.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But but I thought Long said that.
Long is going for 36.
Okay.
He's saying nobody's going to get me out after I win.
Oh, I thought he told FDR that he thought he was going to go for a 3rd term.
No, he's saying I'm gonna.
Well, he did say no president has. I think when he says no president has gone past
More than 2 terms.
he's calling out
Yeah.
FDR.
Yeah.
In 1935, Louisiana had finally passed the 5-cent per barrel oil tax that had gotten Huey impeached way back in 1929. Standard Oil threatened to leave the state. In Baton Rouge, disgruntled Standard Oil employees and Long critics formed their own Square Deal Association, a militia that had demanded direct action.
The Standard Oil is what they're going to give up the oil.
Right, like, okay, then a local business will come in and fucking scoop up that land and employ those same people and pay them better
Yeah.
and keep the money in the state.
Yeah.
Okay, leave.
Goodbye.
January 25th, 1935, 200 armed members of the Square Deal Association raided the East Baton Rouge Parish Courthouse. Huey had Governor Allen, declare martial law and call in the National Guard. So he had like his own little January 6th going on.
Right. Except he responded to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he handled it like a man would. Governor Allen also banned public gatherings of 2 or more persons.
What?
And made it illegal
The gangbang is canceled tonight.
Bring your A-game!
One at a time.
Submit your paper! And he also made it illegal to publish criticism of state officials. Not a good look. National Guardsmen convinced the Square Dealers to leave the courthouse, but they reassembled at the airport and held their ground. To clear the crowd...
We're reassembling at the airport.
We're going to the airport.
To clear the crowd, the Guardsmen resorted to setting off tear gas canisters and firing live rounds. No one was killed, but one person was seriously wounded. A spy within the Square Dealers later testified in court that they were conspiring to assassinate Huey Long.
Of course.
Yeah.
By 1935, sources on the left, on the right, were comparing Huey to Adolf Hitler, which we talked about.
Oh, my gosh.
Vegetarian.
Senator Henry J. Allen wrote that Hitler was sort of a Teutonic Huey Long without Huey's mercurial disposition and mental quickness. He's like dumb Huey. I like him. U.S. General Hugh Johnson charged on March 4th that the Louisianian was a dictator by force of arms and the Hitler of one of our sovereign states. The communist newspaper, the Daily Worker, printed this headline on March 12th: Huey P. Long, Louisiana's Hitler is sole lawmaker. The communist writer Senator Garland described Huey as the personification of fascist menace in the United States. A Moscow newspaper wrote that Long's buffoonish thunderings show the extent of the charlatan demagogism of this fascist prophet.
Wow.
Not making many friends.
So that's the thing, too, though. We go, like, if it is a guy that is, like, if you see, like, Hail Marys to save capitalism, theoretically, you would understand it would be a communist's mortal enemy.
Right.
You know what I mean? It makes so much sense. And it shows really how...
Even though he's doing so with socialist tools.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're saying, like, either, one, it's not enough, and it's also propping up the system that we're trying to topple anyway.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, he's
You
not.
can't win. You can't win with these fucking commies, man.
In just under a year, Huey's Share Our Wealth Society had achieved massive popularity. There were over 27,000 Share Our Wealth Society clubs with an estimated 7.5 million members in a country of 120 million.
Holy shit.
Even black ministers organized Share Our Wealth clubs among their congregations. Every day, thousands of fan letters came into Long's Senate office. He had to hire 32 typists to send replies.
Yeah,
One of them
right
was
there.
Mavis Beacon.
Huey was the third most photographed man in America behind Charles Lindbergh and FDR.
Holy shit.
One public poll named him the most attractive man in America, even
Wow.
more handsome than Tarzan.
More handsome than the king of the jungle?
Yeah.
No, he's not a.
I don't believe every man a king.
Huey then published his third book, My First Days in the White House, 1935, a vision
Wow.
of his early presidency.
Wow, some might call that a manifesto.
Yeah.
Under the president's order, the FBI was now investigating Huey for legal misdeeds.
Wow.
They now sent the FBI against him. The president's campaign manager was conducting nationwide polls to assess Huey's potential popularity. James Farley found out that Huey had a nationwide appeal and could capture as many as 6 million votes. The Roosevelt administration tried to kill the long campaign in its infancy by borrowing some of Huey's ideas for their second New Deal.
There you go.
That's the best
best-
possible of worlds.
Best way to defeat somebody.
Yeah.
Is
Take their
their
shit.
good, and take their good ideas and
Yeah.
save the program,
Yeah.
because I think they're right. They're right that he would have split the vote.
Good ideas are good
and it
ideas.
would all of the progress that had been made in the first term would have been fucking wiped out.
Yep.
Yeah. My
maybe
dad would say about Clinton, like watching in those years, those like fucking Carville, like Warville times,
Also
war room times.
Louisiana.
He goes, this is fucking the thing I saw, like the genius of Clinton. He go, somebody would ask a thing, the Republican would respond, and Clinton would go,
I agree
I
with
agree with my opponent. I also think.
Yes.
So like everything you said plus more.
Yeah.
Right. And then
And more is better.
And then, well, because he would use it using hamburgers and chicken nuggets and
He's
French
talking
fries.
about
Yeah.
the things getting intercepted by warlords.
Yeah.
et cetera, and so forth.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is he saying now?
There was a program called Saturday Night Live.
Yes, no, I remember, yeah.
Okay.
But direct
Kind of niche, buddy.
direct evidence of the story you're telling.
Instead of warlords, it would be
Was it,
industrialists, wealthy
yeah,
industrialists, et cetera.
The Works Progress Administration mirrored public works programs started in Louisiana.
Right.
The National Youth Administration was just like his student financial aid proposal. The Social Security system reflected Huey's proposal for old age pensions.
Right, yeah.
From the Senate floor, Huey called the Social Security system inadequate and expressed his fears that states wouldn't administer Social Security benefits fairly to African Americans. FDR looked at a number of other ideas and initiatives from Long, including the National Labor Relations Board, rights of unions to organize, minimum wage, and a 40-hour work week, the Public Utility Holding Company Act, a regulation of public utilities, the Farm Security Administration, assists farmers, and the Wealth Tax Act, graduated income and inheritance taxes. Privately, FDR admitted to his staff that he was trying to steal Long's thunder.
Hey, good move.
Good move. I'm glad glad he did it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. At the very least, even if Long he's making all these big scenes, he's still, if it's a good idea.
Yes, he culturally appropriated
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Politically appropriate.
Yeah.
Comes out with a pink tie next.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it.
Wow, I'm a dandy. Look at me. I don't know what FDR's.
While
Doesn't sound
he
like it
was
at all.
looking ahead to the White House,
Uh-huh.
Long was still preoccupied with day-to-day politics in Louisiana. He'd interfered in many elections by padding the voting lists and directing ballot counts. He had a tight muzzle on the press, but still proposed a gag law that would prohibit newspapers from printing, quote, malicious, scandalous, or defamatory stories about government employees. The state militia could be deployed like a personal security force at the moment's notice.
God damn it, man.
He declared martial law in any city or town that defied him. The courts were packed with Long loyalists, so there was never any checks on his power.
Could you imagine living in one of those towns? Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's martial law again.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Who said something?
Yeah. The Louisiana state legislature passed dozens of bills that increased the powers of the governor's office, punished Long's enemies, and pushed the limits of constitutionalism. The summer of 35 was a very busy time. Besides working on his presidential campaign, he had plenty to do in the Senate. On June 12th, he fired off a 15-hour filibuster against the modification of the National Recovery Act, which he called a big giveaway to big business. Humorist Will Rogers said of Huey, quote, imagine 95 senators trying to out-talk Huey Long. They can't get him warmed up. In July, Huey announced to the press that he had discovered an assassination plot against him. Long's associates had eavesdropped on a meeting in New Orleans, which included 4 Louisiana congressmen, New Orleans Mayor Walmsley, and former governors Parker and Sanders. Another man identified as Dr. Wise
Dr. Wise was there?
was introduced at the gathering.
We got to do a profile of Dr.
He's a
Wise.
scooch owl. Privately, Huey expressed concerns that his enemies might kidnap his children to get to him.
And he just saw, Lindbergh's kid taken and all that.
On September 8th, Huey was in the state capitol building for a special session of the legislature. He and associates were trying to push several bills, including a measure to gerrymander opponent Judge Benjamin Pavey out of his job. Just after 9 p.m., Huey was walking down a corridor when a man in a white linen suit stepped out from behind a pillar and shot him in the stomach at close range. Huey's bodyguards sprang into action while Huey fled to safety.
No,
they fired approximately 60 bullets into the shooter. These are the Skull Crusher.
Oh,
You measured the wrong Kingfish.
well, Battling Bonesman, you up next. You finish the job.
The assassin was Dr. Carl Weiss, the son-in-law.
What?
Dr. Carl Weiss?
Oh, I thought you said it was Dr. Wise, Dr. Carl Wise.
Well,
Dr.
there
Wise.
was a Dr. Wise in the
Dr.
meeting.
Wise. That's what I thought.
Who's that?
You said there was Dr. Wise.
No, Dr. Carl Weiss.
Oh,
Dr. Weiss.
Was he at the assassination meeting?
Wait, when you said that there was somebody called Dr.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, there was somebody called...
Dr. Wise.
Yes.
I thought you were saying that this was that Dr. Wise, but this is Dr. Weiss.
Yes, but that's also...
Convenient.
Yeah.
No. I think that is the implication there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
Fucking son of a bitch.
Dr.
Not-
Weiss.
Not a good...
Dr. Carl Weiss.
Well, at least if he's a doctor, he can upgrade the bullet.
So the impression is that it was supposed to be a guy that was actually part of the assassination.
Gotcha. Okay.
Conspiracy. So, but you can't question him after he shot 60 times. You know what I mean?
well, he gets
Good.
The assassin was Dr. Carl Weiss, the son-in-law of Judge Benjamin Pavey, the guy that they were voting out.
son-in-law.
Gerrymander.
Jeez,
Yeah.
he'll do anything, dude.
He reportedly shot Huey to defend his wife's honor. Allegedly, Huey had been spreading rumors that the Pavey family weren't truly white and had, quote, coffee blood.
Oh, come on.
Jesus.
It's a bit hard for me to swallow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make any
I don't
of
really-
all the things that these guys are meeting to shoot Huey Long.
And also,
mayor and senators.
that's not to say that I don't think that Huey Long would resort to race baiting if it was
sure,
a political
absolutely.
tool.
Yeah.
Huey was rushed to Our Lady of the Lake Hospital. A team of New Orleans surgeons raced to save the Kingfish's life, but in their haste, they crashed their car. Couldn't get there in time.
Christ.
The hospital's lead physician was an inexperienced young man who got the job from Huey a few years before.
Oh.
He attempted to stop the internal bleeding, but botched the operation.
Oh, God.
There you go.
On September 10th, 1935, Huey Pierce Long said, God, don't let me die. I have so much to do. And he goes, maybe it might have been LSU? Like, he said something about, my boys, I hope they're okay.
Wait, instead of God, don't let me die, I have so much to do.
Yeah.
God, don't let me die.
Yeah, it was like you expressed some concern about LSU. But
The
that's
band, the
also,
trumpet.
That's also probably Louisiana mythology.
Band leader's no good.
So he died. He had turned 42 just 11 days prior.
Wow.
The famous deduct box was never found and is thought to have been stolen by one of Huey's associates. An estimated 200,000 mourners traveled to Baton Rouge to attend Huey Long's funeral. On September 12th, he was buried on the Capitol grounds. A statue of Long stands over his grave. Shortly after the assassination, Sinclair Lewis published his dystopian political novel,
The Jungle.
It Can't Happen Here.
Oh, it can't happen here.
The protagonist, Berzelius Buzz Windrip, largely based on Huey Long, becomes America's first dictator through the presidency, much like Adolf Hitler. Some of Huey's supporters allege that political opponents had orchestrated the assassination, but a federal probe ruled there was no such conspiracy. Another theory is that Dr. Weiss fired his gun but didn't kill Huey, and the bullets from the bodyguards ricocheted off the marble walls, hitting Huey in the stomach, much like the JFK theory.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of
that's a hell
people,
of a
a lot of people
ricochet.
put that down.
If there's 60 of them, I mean, figure 2 would have hit him.
When speaking on the Long Legacy Project, retired Wynn Parish Deputy Sheriff Gregory Davis claimed that there had been an organized club to take out Huey Long. Quote, I was very lucky in knowing and being close friend with an old eccentric gentleman in Winfield who was, as a young man, was invited to a secret meeting. He said at the time that he had no meaning what the meeting was about. He only knew the close friend that had invited him and was a well-known doctor who was born and raised in Wynn Parish, and he had trusted. After having the man in Shreveport, he was blindfolded and taken to an unknown location where he was to take an oath on the Bible that he would not reveal what was going on. The meeting was actually a Huey Long Assassination Club meeting, and the members were doctors and attorneys and businessmen and upper-class folks. And he said he never had told a story about that until you told me about it, as he did not want any part of it, even though he know his family was strong anti-longs. But he did like Earl, the brother.
Dude. You're fucking ridiculous.
Had Huey not been assassinated, it was almost certain Roosevelt and the IRS would have had him charged with federal tax evasion. In December of 1935, the Huey P. Long Bridge was opened in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, several miles upriver from New Orleans. The bridge was the first Mississippi River span built in Louisiana and the 29th along the length of the river. Huey's widow, Rose Long, was appointed to fill Huey's Senate seat.
Oh, cool.
What's that about?
Why not?
Cool. Until a special election could be held in April 1936.
That's happened before.
She ran in that special election and won, making her Louisiana's first woman senator.
Yeah.
After the term,
I didn't spend much time at all with him.
I barely knew the man. He was a swamp thing. Drain the fucking shit.
Anywho.
After the term wrapped up in the fall, she returned to private life. Huey's daughter Dolly went on to marry a doctor and lived in Boulder, Colorado. Rose also lived in Boulder until her death in 1970. By the 1936 election, more than 278,000 citizens were registered to vote for the first time in Louisiana, thanks in large part to Huey's elimination of the poll tax. FDR was reelected in a landslide, and his administration was generally relieved to have Huey Long out of the picture. Roosevelt's close economic advisor, Rexford Tugwell.
Oh, boy.
From the Tugwells?
Yeah.
Rexford what the? He's anti-no-fap.
Yeah, he's pro-fap.
Yeah. They won their clan wars against the Tugbads. The close economic advisor, Rexford Tugwell, wrote, quote, "When he was gone, it seemed like a beneficent peace had fallen on the land. Father Coughlin of Reno Townsend et al. Were all pygmies compared to with Huey. He had been a major phenomenon." Tugwell also stated that FDR viewed the assassination as a, quote, providential occurrence.
Wow.
Also, the polio was also providential.
Writer Adria Locke Langley offered another take on Huey Long's story with her first novel, 1945's A Lion is in the Streets. Quote, "Women, money, power. This backwoods dictator hungered for them all. A novel centered in the Backland Hills and marshes of the Magnolia State is Hank Martin, unlettered but indomitable." Yeah. 1946, academic writer and critic Robert Penn Warren came out with his long-inspired novel, All the King's Men, a reference to a Mother Goose rhyme. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. A political reporter named Jack Burden comes to work for the charismatic but corrupt populist Governor Willie Stark. Burden weaves a narrative about Stark's rise and fall with his own biography and philosophical ideas. Warren claimed it was, quote, never intended to be a book about politics. He wanted to write a story about philosophy and ethics. In 1930s America, it seemed like the average person wanted to abandon moral responsibility and live vicariously through supermen, messianic figures like Stark. While Stark appeared to fulfill people's wishes, all of the characters experienced a great fall of some kind, including Stark himself.
Nice, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is also the time, that 30s is where you did get the superhero comics.
Yes, 100%.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to get out of it. You want to fly out of it.
I want to,
right?
Yeah, when you have no power, what do you wish for? All of it.
Ultimate power. Yeah.
And then so the pop culture, the comic books are then mirrored in politics and in real life.
Yes.
Sure, and but you also
Back and forth.
You also have these huge characters too.
Mm-hmm. Larger than life.
Can we take one more quick break?
Yeah.
Sure.
Come right back, folks. And we're back. So, the author of All the King's Men was an LSU professor, and he from 33 to 42, and so he had kind of all the time in the world to observe Huey. A film version came out in 1949. In 47, it would win the Pulitzer Prize. All the King's Men won 3 Academy Awards, and it was, quote, the story of a ruthless big shot, his manners, his morals, and his women. Gamblers and crooks fought for his favor, but a fearless few risked ruin to destroy him. A Lion in the Streets, a movie with James Cagney, hit theaters in 1953. Critics found it lacking. Quote, the Washington Evening Star complained, A Lion in the Streets is dramatically shallower work than All the King's Men, for which it is too precise a parallel. For all of Cagney's ranting imitation of a political psychopath, his screenplays have none of that bite, sting, or shape of the earlier film.
Didn't they remake it again?
All the King's Men?
Did they make it again in the 70s?
About Nixon?
Daddy will get to it.
Oh, okay.
No.
Without meaning to, Huey created a long political dynasty in Louisiana. Brother Julius was a Wynn Parish district attorney. His brother George got elected to Congress in 1952, but neither of them put their stamp on Louisiana politics like little brother Earl. He served as governor from 1939 to 40, 48 to 52, and 56 to 60.
Wow.
During his last term in office, Earl was acting particularly eccentric. Cousin Gillis described Earl as crazy like a fox when sober, just plain crazy when drunk.
Oh, Cousin Gillis.
One of his speeches on state broadcast TV was laced with obscenities. Historians theorize he suffered from bipolar disorder.
Sweet. Okay. Well, good speech.
His wife Blanche, his nephew Russell, and others tried to have him removed from office on the grounds of mental instability.
Oh my God.
They failed to have him removed as governor, but they were able to get Earl committed to a state mental hospital.
As governor?
Where he ran, he ran it with an iron fist.
Yeah. As governor of this mental hospital.
He only escaped with the aid of his legal advisor, Joseph A. Sims. Once he was back in the governor's mansion, he had the hospital's administrator fired.
Oh, my God.
Jesus Christ.
He died of a heart attack in 1960.
Jesus Christ.
Huey's older son, Russell, followed in his father's footsteps and represented Louisiana in the U.S. Senate from 48 to 87.
Never met the man, but I heard great things about my father. I seek to emulate him in the way, only the way I know how, and that is through television clips and newspaper articles.
Well, in pajamas.
48 to 87.
Holy fuck.
That's fucking nuts.
That's forever.
Well, yeah, because all the people who grew up with the Huey Long story had to die before he couldn't be reelected.
He did his
Or
most
he
important
died.
work as chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, shaping the nation's tax laws. He passed the Earned Income Credit and other tax bills that helped the poor.
Great.
But he also worked to reduce business taxes. Palmer was a WW2 flight instructor and worked in the family oil and gas business. All the Long children passed away in the 2000s. Singer-songwriter Randy Newman released an album of songs about the American South titled Good Old Boys in 1974.
Great album.
The album hit number 36 on the Billboard 200, spending 21 weeks in the charts. Newman covered Huey's song Every Man a King and wrote an original song about Huey called Kingfish. CBS broadcast a TV movie.
You got a friend in me.
Show people, guy.
No. I love L.A. L.A. meant Louisiana.
Oh.
Wow.
Huey P. Long Boulevard. Swamp Thing Avenue.
Swamp Thing!
Oh, hi.
Crawdads. We love it. We love it. You like that?
I like
Yeah,
it.
It's a good song.
I want one of them Boston crawdads.
From Maine.
Yeah.
Big old Maine crawfishes.
CBS broadcast a TV movie, The Life and Assassination of the Kingfish, starring Ed Asner as Huey Long.
Hey.
1977. Now, what would folks know Ed Asner from, you boys?
A lot of voiceover.
I think he was in Toy Story.
Yeah.
I don't.
I think he was in.
He was Up.
Yeah, he was
in
Up. He's basically he is the old man from Up.
Yeah.
And just a ton of shit.
Yeah.
Throughout the 70s.
Yeah.
And 80s.
I know him from voiceover, but yeah, tons of shit in the 70s and 80s.
He's an old crotchety guy.
Yeah, he's a regular.
The Washington Post described it as a, quote, true cautionary tale from the relatively short life and rousing times of Huey P. Long. Besides Ed's acting work on The Mary Tyler Moore Show,
Oh, big
Well,
show.
yeah, I
You
think
heard
probably
of it.
more people.
he was also known for his political activism and leftist beliefs.
What?
He was a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. Played a vital role in the SAG industry strike of 80. On Valentine's Day, 1990, Martinez, California police officers arrested Asner for protesting at the Concord Naval Weapons Station. A group of Jesuit priests and theology students from Berkeley were leading the demonstration, demanding the U.S. cease all weapon shipments to El Salvador.
Wow.
He protested for Mumia Abu Jamal. Mumia was a journalist that was convicted and sentenced to death for the 1981 murder of a Philadelphia police officer, Daniel Faulkner. His sentence was overturned, and he's now serving a sentence on life imprisonment without parole. Later in the 2000s, Asner appeared in commercials for California One Care, single-payer healthcare system. Ken Burns directed a Huey Long documentary.
Shit.
For PBS in 1986. It's available.
86.
Available to watch on Amazon. I felt like they kind of zeroed in too much at the end on the dictatorial nature. People going like, it had to stop. It would too much.
It's too good.
Yeah, I never had so much money in my life. I didn't know what to do with it.
He really brought his A game. I could have done it with a B- or a C+ game.
Huey got the TV movie treatment again in 1995 with John Goodman in the lead role. Kingfish, a story of Huey P. Long. Goodman has strong personal ties to Louisiana. He met his wife, Annabeth Herzog, in 1989 while he was filming a movie in New Orleans. She's originally from Bogalusa, Louisiana. Bogalusa?
Okay.
Is it Boogaloosa?
Bogalusa?
Okay.
I don't know.
Bogalusa.
Got it, dude.
You guys okay?
Take it easy, man.
Couple still lives in New Orleans Garden District. Following Hurricane Katrina in 2005, Goodman appeared in several commercials about recovery efforts. He also
was he also in Treme?
I don't know if he was.
Maybe he wasn't.
No, I don't think he was.
I don't know. But
He also appeared in ads raising awareness and support for victims of Deepwater Horizon in 2010.
That's the movie with the black hole that powers a spaceship and Sam Neill rips his face off. Deepwater Event Horizon?
Yeah, I got it.
No, I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Aaron.
I mean, that's the dangers of when you're tinkering with nature like
That's
that.
right.
You
The far edges.
puncture a hole in a black hole, and then the ocean's gone.
It's trouble.
Next thing you know, your friends are skinless on the ground.
Oh my God!
Pleasures, but I mean, they were one fucking light year away from the Cenobites taking over.
Cenobites showed up going, I don't know.
Yeah.
These guys are too hardcore.
Yeah. Oh, Senator Teddy Rufflove.
How quaint.
I forget what his name is.
Teddy Ruff.
Teddy
Rough and pleasant.
Rough and pleasant.
Instead of Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah.
Anyway.
2006 saw the release of another All the Kingsmen adaptation. On paper, the movie is pure Oscar bait, with Sean Penn playing Willie Stark, supported by a cast that includes Jude Law, Patricia Clarkson, Mark Ruffalo, Anthony Hopkins, Kate Winslet, and James Gandolfini.
Wow.
And now you preface this by saying, on paper.
On paper, yeah.
The 2006 version was hated by audiences and critics alike. It has a Rotten Tomatoes approval rating of 11% based on 159 reviews.
Dear Lord.
New York Times film critic A.O. Scott said, nothing in the picture works. It is both overwrought and tedious. Its complicated narrative bogging down in lyrical voiceover, long flashbacks, and endless expository conversations between people speaking radically incompatible accents.
Also, the lighting sucked.
Much like Ed Asner, of course, Sean Penn is playing a role as a very leftist person. He, of course, would go to Iraq to protest the invasion.
And he would go down to
interview El Chapo in 2015. That's right, Aaron.
He also fucking rode a rowboat during Hurricane Katrina and all that shit, too.
Now,
he also fucked Madonna.
Wow.
There is a thing here where I have my things where I'm going like I didn't like the 86 Ken Burns thing because I was like they're like he was out of control and I'm like, was he? What, giving people stuff? Come on, chill out.
Well,
yeah, I know how you feel, but
yeah,
I'm like I'm also like
you're the right of it.
I'm also like
sorry you didn't kill any cops, Matt.
I'm also like, well, you're making a documentary about him.
Yeah.
So it's clearly like the legend is something, and we're not doing this for no reason.
Right.
Sure.
There must be some greatness here to talk about.
Of course.
Well, yeah, no, there certainly is even everything I've heard, yeah.
But this is the thing to just show you for the average poor Louisianan, the average Tabasco slurping crawdaddy, just like
hurricane
the
drinking,
swamp thing.
The cousin hugging.
Yeah.
The little boy bugging.
Yeah.
And the Tabasco chugging. Bayou boy.
Blues loving.
There's a story from sociologist Gunnar Myrdal that demonstrates the staying power of Huey Long in the public psyche. In 1938, he was speaking with school children in a very poor part of northern Louisiana. They told him that not only had Huey Long survived the assassination, but that he was actually the current president and lived in the White House.
Holy shit.
He never corrected them.
Wow.
Long's most sympathetic biographer, T. Harry Williams, conceded, quote, he wanted to do good, but for that he had to have power. So he took power, and then to do more good seized still more power. And finally the means and the end became so entwined in his mind that he could not distinguish between them. Could not tell whether he wanted power as a method for its own sake. He gave increasing attention to building his war structure, or his power structure, and as he built it, he did strange, ruthless, and cynical things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that sounds right.
Yeah.
I think that's the
I think that sums it up quite nicely.
and that's the bottom line. It's I think probably the best way it could work out. FDR stealing his actual policies that would affect people in a very real way,
Right.
and then not having to contend with a guy that might have been too power hungry, and maybe the White House would have been fucking insane to have if he was lucky enough to win.
Right.
I mean, he practiced the White House by having a White House in Louisiana.
Yeah.
I could get used to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been here before.
But I mean, you
Mine is better.
positively cannot deny that he pushed Roosevelt there
Oh yeah.
to give
Absolutely.
all of us the things
Yeah.
Yeah.
that we still enjoy today.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very, very impressive legacy to me.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, he fucking dragged him to the left and in a way that, you know, that somebody who was more pragmatic was able to get those things done
Yeah.
while fighting off his own assassination attempts.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
know?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And
this-
I think even so, Roosevelt wanted to still do more. I think he wanted to have Medicare for everybody.
He did have the new Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. That had
More than
progressive
what
things.
the New Deal
Yeah.
accomplished.
And I mean, wasn't some of that still kind of passed on to Truman and his post-war stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
They said a lot.
I
They
don't know.
said some of those things in the constitutions for the new countries of post-war Germany and Japan took on a lot of things that were initially planned for our own country.
That's right.
That
Let's
we
try it out there.
that we never got. But yeah, I think it could come to no good end. But also like a thing where like people are just openly conspiring to kill you.
You're doing something right.
You must be doing.
Well, especially if it's the KKK.
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I just like
I think just a general statement, people are conspiring to kill you.
Yeah, run.
Doesn't
that's your
necessarily
slogan.
mean-
The KKK wants to kill me. Vote for me.
If,
Yeah.
if just in general people are conspiring to kill you, it might not mean you're doing something
But this
right.
was also
But
at
if the KKK
this is the KKK was in its like heyday at this time.
It was in its new.
It's renaissance.
yeah, it's new.
Because it was
Renaissance.
really big.
Wilson.
End of the
Well, what happened?
1800s.
It was largely finished, and then Birth of a Nation.
Birth of a
came out,
Nation, the movie, yeah.
and then it kicked
Propped
in
everything,
again.
yeah.
The Daughters of the Confederacy, putting up all of the General Lee and
I believe it's
Statues
the first sequel in American history, also Death of a Nation.
yes, and because he felt bad. I think he felt so bad about what the first one did that he tried to kind of retcon it.
Yeah,
really.
I guess
oh,
is
I didn't
nice.
know.
nobody knows about that.
That.
Yeah,
No, I
Because
didn't
it
know
wasn't
that.
as good.
Well, they didn't play at the White House.
yeah. I think Woodrow Wilson. Was it Woodrow?
I think it was Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But yeah.
Anyway.
I think just the thing of like, you know, they said like he never did the race baiting, he never did the mythology stuff like that. They were saying applies to all the fascists. He was really just going like, yo.
Yeah.
They can't have all that money. We gotta get some. Everybody's got to
your
get
money.
some. Yeah, he's going like it's just not right.
And it's not being spent in like to do anything good.
Yeah,
It's just sitting there.
yeah, and that
Gotham is yours for the taking.
right.
Do as you please.
But I mean, a natural illustration of that, like we're saying, like when there was the graft and the bought off governors and politicians before, and you're just going like, the minute I get in, I can instantly build all these roads that could have been there this whole time.
Sure, yeah.
There's something that incenses you about knowing that, and then you go like,
it's almost like counterproductive. Like we could have had this the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
Instead of being happy about it, and you're like, what the fuck was the delay?
But also, then you go like, okay, well that guy,
right? He
like,
didn't embrace the mythology, but his actions built one.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't think he was going around doing like putting out pamphlets saying that he fucking hits perfect golf games and doesn't take shits.
Well, he was shutting down any criticism.
That's different. That is fascist.
Yes,
but it's not myth making in like a propagandizing way, like in North Korea.
Well, if there's never any,
you know what I mean?
If there's never any backtalk, you're building a myth that everybody loves you no matter what. So it's
passive myth making. It's not active myth. It's not saying that he doesn't take shits and doesn't age and hits perfect golf games.
Sure.
And fucking can beat Tetris.
Yeah.
It's none of that shit. But still, through his actions, the kids are saying that he's actually alive and the president.
Right.
That's the kind of myth making that money can't buy.
Yeah. It is. It's a thing of
that's Elvis.
Yeah.
Right.
It's Tupac.
It's I mean, it's the myth building about being like,
it's the stuff that QAnon is trying to do.
And so,
QAnon is trying to say, oh, Trump's going to come back. He's actually pulling the strings. Remember that fucking shit? And when he was at the end of his presidency, when they were pulling out all that kind of shit, where he's going to come back on this day and seize the white. Get the fuck out of here.
I think for me the maybe the reason the kids think he's actually president is because the next guy who
did all the stuff.
The next, as the years go by, if Huey Long has that much power as governor, the guys who are later governors, some of them might be very right wing, and using that same power, then they strip the schools of money because they have as much power to do that without any ramifications. And then so the kids they actually believe that because the schools don't have enough money to teach them. That's not true.
I don't know.
But I know what you're saying, but that's a reach. I think that his legend preceded or succeeded him.
Sure. I
don't think that the reactionary right-wing politics of Louisiana defunded the schools so badly that the kids thought Huey Newton was Lewis was still Huey Long.
Yeah.
Huey Newton, Lewis, and Long. Will you pick?
Yeah. Good guys.
All good guys. Good guys.
But for long-term success, no pun intended, I mean, if you have that much power, if you give yourself that much power,
there's a double-edged sword to give him the position that
aren't in power anymore. That means the next guy has that much power. And do you trust him unless you're handpicking all of them? But you can't live forever.
Right, but in general, that's true, right? That's why you don't want to give so much power to the executive office. That's why Trump's retarded for wanting to have presidential immunity for all presidents, because you could just be assassinated, hunted down in the street, and it's fine. It's stupid. But I don't think that was the case with Huey Long. I don't think his son was a governor.
His son was a senator.
A senator.
Yeah.
But the other governors,
for 40 years,
the governors that succeeded Huey Long did not wield the power the way that he did.
No.
So that, I think, in this case,
well, are we sure?
No. It was. The way he wielded power was a basic personality trait.
Mm-hmm.
He just he had gas in the tank, because don't forget,
Standard Oil hates this guy. He's already got gas in the tank.
For these years, he is rattling sabers in the Senate, pushing FDR further to left, still running Louisiana with an iron fist, and writing books.
Yeah.
The guy was the one
he
man.
Didn't see his kids, man. He didn't sleep. He wore pajamas just in case.
No, I understand.
The one man political machine thing is more accurate to him than anybody I've ever heard of.
No, sure, absolutely.
It was really just he just was going.
Right.
He was just going.
Right. I understand that. But when he's gone, no one's doing that. But the next guy, who's the governor of Louisiana, has the power that he had when he
No, because
I don't think that he enshrined it as a matter of law.
It was influence.
It was his influence and some corruption.
Yeah.
And and
also-
the virtue of his ideas.
Yeah.
I don't think it was like the unitary executive theory that passed with Bush,
And I'm sure.
like just ascribing all this power to the president.
Sure.
I'm sure also because he made FDR an enemy. FDR would look at Louisiana and be like, "What's going on there now?" You know what I mean? He's still there for several more terms.
Yeah. Well, if you're from Louisiana and you have
Please, get in contact with us. Let us
yeah.
know what you think.
I have
Beautiful state.
I have absolutely no idea what the
Fucking
history
gorgeous.
of politics in Louisiana is,
Well, now I hope you do now.
other than the Huey
fuck?
Long moment, John.
Rich
You know,
culture.
It's been a while. There's a lot of stuff going on there, you know.
Sure, all types of ill shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
What a wonderful figure.
Incredible. Yeah.
kind of insane. I mean, totally crazy, and still another one of these guys that is. He is an executive, and ultimately, like somebody like Nixon, that is, driven, but let's say prone to self-destruction.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, still hard to know.
Yeah.
You know, like his family doesn't fucking know him. It's he fights with his brothers. But at the end of the day, I think you do see the long-term effects, and you can't deny it's like hugely substantial and important to the direction of America for generations to come.
Yeah. You just have to look like all the guys whose policies end up being the most popular shit. Like, just do that. Do those things.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But everyone's just fighting tooth and nail, like,
Yeah.
snatching prosperity out of the jaws of despair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's nobody's business. It's right there for you.
Yeah. Yeah, figure it out, man. Don't worry about the bathrooms.
Who cares who's in?
I'll clean the bathroom.
Well, that's when you know that's when you know they have no good ideas because it's just petty shit like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It
yeah,
just doesn't.
Yeah,
not
just
helpful.
talk about fucking jobs and money and like what is fairness and like what people think is like really wrong about society at their core. And
Well, when you don't have ideas, you go for petty shit.
Yeah, and you
But-
go for the easiest target.
but also like the stuff he was getting away with on the national stage and in the Louisiana stage. The Share Wealth thing, that whole thing just crumbled without him. Right.
sure, yeah.
It fucking crumbled. It was really a cult of personality, and also we can agree that splitting the vote is not good with FDR and stuff. Plus, FDR was stealing his thunder and stuff like that. One of FDR's political guys, like an advisor, was like, "Yeah, I would always laugh off Huey Long in like discussions about what we were doing." He goes, "I did not feel that way at all." He's like, "I was really worried about this guy versus us." And with very good reason. I mean, he's got a fucking newspaper, and he's able to push it out, and he's going like, "Look, numbers, 5 to 8 million, then you're done. You're done. It's roads, you know what I mean? Like, and like,
Sure.
and you're going like, also like, if you really suck, we give you an extra $5,000. And you're
How
going,
about that?
Yeah,
If
how about
you
that?
really suck.
I'm building roads so you can take your sick kid to the free hospital because they got the tuberculosis from the bad food in the oil.
Yeah,
Deal.
not if you really suck. I'm saying like, he was
Things
saying
are sucking for you.
Yeah. things are sucking for you.
Okay.
but also
It's free to vote.
the
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
and
Can't believe it's not.
yeah, the freedom. I mean, the stuff too. Like it's again in especially a state from the South, dude. It never goes down to black-white bullshit.
Yeah.
That is what like so many people went on talking about
'Cause it's about the green.
states' rights
Yeah.
and all that bullshit.
Swamp.
Like the guy only ever talked about like this is what I think is fair. Do you agree? That was all he ever did. And I think I made it. I think I made a little bit of a difference.
I think it made a difference.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And look what FDR's policies were.
Yeah.
And I guess
Dragged him, kicking and screaming. Well,
Yeah.
screaming
Screaming.
to the left. If I could kick, I would. But he couldn't, so he didn't.
I think I also I guess didn't really realize the New Deal was done in levels like that, like in
Yeah. Yeah.
because he was like it was the second part after Huey was such a big pain in the ass that all that shit came in.
Mm-hmm.
And so in a way, like, he's like frustrated he doesn't get into the cabinet, which he thought, or like, but he did. But he did.
Yeah.
Which is so impressive.
Yeah.
And he did it while being a fucking jackass in a straw hat, which is fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
The straw sailor.
I got a
hat.
pink tattoo. Hey, nobody listen to me here. I hate your mother. She's rude.
And she stinks.
Yeah.
Pretty good, John.
Yeah,
That's it.
Very nice.
That was really fun.
Huey P. Long.
It was informative. It was moving. But you know what? It was also fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of good voices. A lot of ignorant shit.
It was the gator we met along the way, along the bayou.
See you later, alligator.
And thank you, Laura.
Yes,
Thank you, Laura, for the wonderful
Thank you, Laura
research.
Crawford. I have her references on.
Oh, yeah, please, yeah.
Is this something you want to hear about?
Toss them off.
Ken Burns.
So I think what about the Wicked Panic of the Wikipedia of the Panic of 1893. We got Huey Long and Racism by Glenn Janson, and Huey Long and the Communists, Edward F. Haas. We got a Time article here about the Huey Long anniversary, political article about Governor Huey Long being impeached, American Heritage, FDR and the Kingfish. The right-wing populism in America is too close for comfort by Chip Burley and Matthew N. Lyons. And the National Review, The Truth About Huey Long. And the Washington Post archive. Let's see. Let's just says docudrama on Huey P. Long.
All right, well, we can. I guess we can list the rest.
Yeah, we'll put in the show notes. Too much to
But let's just say thank you to Laura. We love you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you to Huey Long.
Thank you to Huey Long for all the good times.
Mm-hmm.
And really just just taking shit, like taking. I don't care. I was trying to make Matt mad by like saying it's good that he was a fascist.
Thank you to Huey Long for establishing Social Security, but also raising the lifespans of those benefiting from it. So I'm paying into something that I'll never see.
Yeah. Also, that
Fuck Huey Long, man.
also that sexist shit he said. I was really vibing
You're
with
cool
that.
with the N-word, though.
Yeah, wow.
No.
Oh, you didn't say that.
here we
Yeah,
go.
I'll say it right now. I was not cool with his
Thank
racist
you.
language.
Thank you, Aaron.
I wasn't
Thank
cool
you.
with that at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I was cool with his drinking.
I was cool with his drink.
Yeah, and
Very cool
pajamas.
with his attire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love the
But you thought
Truman Capote style.
Little white
thought-
linen? Yeah.
You thought him calling Dagos was funny. That was
Jesus
fucking-
Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to draw the line somewhere.
And the who's the what's it's in the
the blankety
the
blanks.
blankety
The
blank.
blankety blank.
We know who he's talking about.
I think that's code.
Fill in the blankety blank.
That's code for motherfuckers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sons of bitches, motherfuckers.
All right, let's get out of here, fellas.
Great episode.
Thank you, gentlemen. I love you both.
Laura.
Thank you, Laura. I'm going to say goodnight. My name is John Fahey.
And I'm Aaron Pita.
Episode.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
Good night.